going to hand it over here for our good friend Tom Hall. Thanks so much, fella.
Give it up for Thorsten. Seriously, this guy. The curation of this event's incredible. I first came to Algorithmic Art Assembly in 2019, which feels like a lifetime ago now. But yeah, it's great to be back. Fortunately, I've been a part of it a few times now, so yeah, but I'm in awe of Thor's curation. It continually surprises me. So my name is Tom Hall. I'm an artist, musician, curator, trader, laborer, anything you want me to be. But I also work at Cycling 74. Some of you may be familiar with Max MSP. I've seen it already mentioned up here on the big screen a few times, which is cool. Very, very old object-oriented programming language. What do I do at Cycling 74? Many things. Contribute to its development, education, office hours, which are an online streaming event. Recently had Thorsten and Keith on there. But today I'm here to talk more about my creative process with Max. So this is it, minus the Finder. But typically this is kind of what I'm staring at when I play live. And it's got a pretty developed interface. We could spend all afternoon talking through this. All of this means something to me. But I think some of you can probably work out what's happening, and right here's my homage to the DAW, to the DAW, with some sliders. But let's have a look in the back end here. So I'll crack it open, and I'm not going to spend the next half an hour going through here because it's just physically not even possible. But the main thing I want to poke at in here is that everything starts from here, a phaser. And there's a lot of divisions and different things, multiplications of the phaser. But my main clock, where it all begins, and if I was to take this phaser out of this patch, nothing would work anymore. It's everything. And I'm usually looking for zeros or ones or middle points of the phaser in order to create divisions, times that drive the sequencer, that drive the sound, that re-trigger wavetables. My live set is largely synthesis-based, so there's a couple of samples snuck in there here and there, but it's largely all real-time synthesis. Synth engines that I've built, a lot of FM, which is probably no surprise to any of you who've heard my sounds. But I love this idea of the phaser as like a sequencer, the phaser as a tool, and it's something I've been exploring now for, a long time. It started maybe in 2015, and I'm going to close this now actually and go to something a little simpler. But it started around 2015, and I was taking a phaser, and I'll open up this one. And I was, it's a kind of a classic case in Max of taking a phaser and using an object called MC rate, which essentially you can divide or multiply the phaser as much as you like. So you could have a single phaser, and then you could have many MC rate objects or rate objects prior to MC existing, and just subdivide and multiply and then look for zeros or look for 0.5 or look for 1 and use that as a means to trigger or drive a sequencer. In 2017, we started developing something called MC at Cycling 74, and essentially allows you to pack many channels into a singular object. So it's not necessarily multi-channel, multi-signal. The multi-channel or multi-speaker thing depends on what you're sending it out to. However, along with that, if you pack many signals into an object, well, how do you address those signals, right? That was the dilemma that we had, and there was a lot of messages that were created in order to address those signals. So very simply, there was one called deviate, so deviating around a certain signal. I can click this right here, and you'll see this one here is deviate 0.252. So it means we're deviating or creating a random value around 2 by 0.25 either side of 2. So it can go as low as 1.75, and it can go as high as 2.25. If I was to keep hitting this, we keep getting random values. It's pretty fun. So now I'm taking 8 different signal generators, creating a random value between 1.75 and 2.25. And I'd been doing this phasor rate thing in my own patches for some time. And it came to me in the shower, of all places. Of course, I'm always thinking about Max. And I was like, what if I make a multi-channel phasor, which then runs into, so there's 8 phasors actually packed into that MC phasor there on the left, run it into an MC rate, and then deviate it, right? So if I hit deviate, we can kind of see here, now we have several phases there in the left in the scope. These are trigger points. And this is pretty random actually right now. It's just randomly deviating between 1.75 and 2.25, the MC rate, which is kind of just wavering the phase signal. It's going to sound pretty nuts. Just completely random. And I can so there I've reset the phase. So now the phases are all aligned again. And I'll just show that one more time. Turn the signal back on. I'll deviate again, and you'll see the phases divide and multiply by a random amount, so they're running at a slightly different rate. So I'm going to hit the deviate message. And that was like my first experiment when MC came along. And I was like, well, that's cool, but like, it's random, it's not so musical. And the thing that came to me when I was in the shower was that there's these other messages for addressing all of the signals within the multi-channel patch cables, which are these blue ones. If you ever see a blue patch cable, you know there's more than one signal running through there. But it's like, what if I harmonically deviate, right? So there's, consistent ratios between those phase values. And that was the thing that came to me in the shower. So you'll hear the difference here. And I could try different harmonic values. So I can do harmonic 0.25, 1.5. And over here, this is the actual values, the division or multiplication of the phases that has occurred. So 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5. It's in this moment that I thought, I have invented computer music. Felt like a genius. But really, I just took my idea, which wasn't even my idea, of taking a phaser and subdividing or multiplying that phase and using it as a way to trigger events or drums or anything you want, really. But this made light work of it. And this was really what was beautiful about MC, and I remember David Zaccarelli talking about it. It didn't really bring anything new, but what it brought was this, how easy you could get to these new possibilities. That's what came with this MC concept of having multiple signals running through a single patch cable. Like in the past, no sane person was going to make 512, sine oscillators and then deviate the phase of them, right? Like we're talking patching for all afternoon, but now you can do it very easily. And so what came with that was these new possibilities for experimentation and discovery. So I was like, damn, I can use this. So we're taking those out of MC rate. This is the ramps here, and you can see they're really nice. Let's turn it back on for a second. So right here in this scope, you can see the relationships there. And then down here, I think this patch kind of shows its age because I've got a delta, so it's just checking the signal from one sample to the next. I'm looking for a zero crossing at the phase and then grabbing that edge right here. This MC edge is great because it tells me which of my 8 phases has hit 0. Right here, you'll see this number here, this 4. So it's giving me a number each time that phase hits 0. The great thing about a phaser is, especially for drums or anything percussive, is it's very accurate. It's one of the most accurate ways, at least in Max, that you can drive any kind of percussive stuff where you're concerned about timing. So it gives me out of here, I'll turn on debug. You'll see it says voice. It's very small there, but it says voice 1, voice 3. I'm just using the route to get rid of the voice. And then over here, at first I was just taking that number and kind of directly translating it to percussive elements. But then I was like, hey, maybe I've got something more interesting I can do with this rather than just being locked into this harmonic sequence determined by harmonic related ratios. So it's like, what if I take it and run it through a lookup table? Then I could take that default harmonic signal or harmonic sequence and rearrange it any way I like. So the way the table is set up right now is it's linear. It's a direct one-for-one translation of when those triggers occur. And they're then being passed on to some simple synthesis percussive elements. But I can edit the table, and I can do that live. I can set a state, and I can do it all without needing to reset the signal, because anyone who's dealt with Max knows that rebuilding the DSP graph results in, could result in many things actually, things you don't want to happen when you play live. So having this flexibility, and it does mean that we're going out of the signal domain, which we're using for triggering. I haven't gotten around to it, but I'm like, now there is actually a signal rate lookup table in Max. So I'm been meaning to translate this over. But we are leaving the event, or the signal domain, and we're going to the event domain. But it's pretty cool. I can remix, or I can go over here. We've got algorithmic music. And you can randomize it. So I'm clicking the randomize up here. It's just quickly counting through 8 values, creating a random value, packing those into a small list, and then resetting the indexes in the table. I haven't calculated it, but there's definitely a lot of pattern possibilities just within this relatively simple setup. Actually, in my live patch, this is 8 channels. In my live patch, I use 16 for even more rhythmical possibilities. And then over here, I've got a small envelope generator, and then over here is a synth. Let's see what's going on with the synth. I just have FM8 in there. We've got nothing coming out. Maybe. So the synth's running through a little quantizer there and going, and then packing up the note, the generated note, and it's running into the VST object. Probably a good time to mention that all of these patches that I show are here at this URL. So, including this one that I was just showing. So that's that's pretty much the engine that drives my whole system. Now I've taken it, I've expanded it, I've duplicated it in my live set to kind of an obscene level. But I feel like this is the best way to show it right here. This is just the percussive elements here. They're very simple synthesis approximations of a kick drum and a hi-hat and the likes. But something else I want to touch on, we've got a little bit of time, is that in another life, I'm the vocalist of a metal band, or the lead guitarist. The first kind of music that I was ever into was metal. I grew up in Tasmania in the 80s, and I don't know, Tasmania is very metal, just where it is located in the world. Has one of the most abstruse, some crazy metal artists. There's a legendary metal artist down there called Stryborg. He's infamous, lives in the bush, makes some of the most dense music ever. Sun absolutely loves Stryborg. They've had him collaborate with them. He's also weirdly a breakdancer, which is kind of interesting for death metal artists. But in turn, what happened, I started hearing electronic music on the radio in the 90s. Short story, I would go to the metal shows. The metal shows would close or finish early, and my friends were putting on drum and bass shows, first wave of drum and bass. And so I'd go to the doof afterwards because, well, I could keep drinking. That was the motivating factor. But I was like, hey, I actually quite like this music. And it's also heavy and kind of like, it started to influence me. And it's interesting because Will before talked a lot about the laptop as an instrument. And it's just, that's an absolutely incredible, fascinating topic to me. I didn't have any formal musical training. I'm kind of like reverse engineering my entire musical training. But also I got a laptop. I got a PowerBook Titanium and was very fortunate to be on an exchange in Japan. My sensei could see that I wasn't gelling with the Pro Tools J-pop recording sessions. I was like, what is this world I'm in? And he asked me to come to his office, year 2000. And I was like, oh man, I'm in trouble. They're sending me back to Australia. That's the end of my international career. And he showed me Max MSP, and it blew my mind. And my mind was just like, whoa, you mean to say I can like build my own thing, my own system, put down my own ideas? And he was like, yeah. And so that's how I am here, really. It's the rest is history. But yeah, that PowerBook Titanium, Max, then it's just been a journey ever since then, to be honest. But in saying all of that, something that I'm fascinated with is this idea of distortion, metal, these kind of elements, these more extreme elements. I love the whole noise scene. I wouldn't consider myself a noise artist, but I appreciate it. I love going to noise shows. And I think there's just extremities of sound. There's just so much in that area, just in harmonics and that. And so I use it a lot in my work. You'll hear it very shortly. And I'll just show feedback too, feedback. So I have a controlled feedback system. Where's this one? These are all in the URL. So there's a whole mix of stuff in there. There's some per sample stuff with Gen, some generative sequencing. There's something pretty cool right here. It's in JavaScript. It's a little thing I wrote. A lot of parameters in Max now are available to the JS system. The naming, in particular, are parameters. And so there's a way to look up all the parameters in one click of the mouse within a patch, and then take this concept of deviation or like a randomness. So right here, we've got that bit of JS code. I can go right in here. At any moment, I can grab the center values. So center value is just what is the value of the parameter in this exact moment. So I can just click this, the JS logs it into an array, and then I can have that deviate around that center value. So again, kind of, this came after the MC discovery, but I loved this idea of deviation, randomization. I think there's some really, and personally what I like most about it is it shows you things about something you've made, which you're probably really familiar with, and I know I'm too familiar with my own patching styles, but bringing those elements in, and what I love about this is that you can just drag and drop this little piece of code, providing you have the .js in Max's search path, you can pull it into anything and deviate any parameters. It shows you things that you didn't necessarily know, existed in your own work originally. And I really like that aspect of it. So it just allows new discoveries in this patch in particular, which is about creating different spurts, randomness, and that. It's quite fun. And you can get more extreme. But yeah, if any of you take any of these patches and, I don't know, extend them, feel free to share them with friends or like do something with them. I'd love to hear it. It's always fun to, I guess it's another form of deviation, right? Is to see what other people do with their thing, because when you've created it, it's like it's like that your very creative thing where you're like too close to it. You can't see the forest for the trees anymore, and we're habitual creatures, and you start getting into repetition yourself as a person. So it's always fun to see other things. I find particularly with some of the younger generations I get to work with, I'll give them something that I'm just very familiar with, and they'll do something with it where I'm just like, whoa, my mind is blown. I never thought of doing that. And because I'm also like coming on the age of where, I started with computers where some of the limiting factor was things like CPU and stuff like that. So now I see people stacking stuff that seems like it should break rules, but it doesn't break rules, and then beauty emerges from it. So, yeah. That's pretty much it for me. There's a whole bunch of related patches in here, so be sure to check them out. Let's just get back to the URL. But my email is on my website. If you have any questions, queries about the patches, feel free to reach out to me. We've got like 3 minutes, 50 seconds. We can have a quick question or two if you like.
Anyone?
Will's going to ask me about DAWs.
I feel like in approaching music and music technology, there are kind of two different headspaces that you have to be in, or at least that I've kind of converged on, where I'm extending the system a bunch, I'm extending the capabilities, and then going back to the music side, and like I have these capabilities, I'm going to craft a composition or a performance or something like that. Whereas I feel like, do you feel yourself moving through those two headspaces, or is it all one, like is it split or is it the same for you, do you feel?
My brain is solidifying because I'm getting older, and I think I used to not care whatsoever to, create those spaces. I absolutely know what you're talking about. And in recent years, I've had to designate space in my mind, in time to transverse between those two worlds. I think because also my journey with Max, so Max feels like, I don't know, the brother I never had or something. I spent so much time with it. It's crazy. And so, yeah, I have to make those spaces where I'm like, okay, this Saturday, I'm recording, the patch stays locked. Do not unlock the patch. Do not. I even have to tell my wife, if you come in and you see me editing the patch, clip me around the ear, please. Because very quickly it can just go off the rails. It's Sunday night. You've got to work Monday morning. It's 3 a.m. Monday morning. You're like, I just got to fix this thing, and you've recorded like 3 minutes of music for the whole weekend. Yeah. So I've definitely found as I've gotten older, I have to set those boundaries. Like today, it's actually really great. It lets you off the hook. Like you're like, okay, today is just working on programming. Today is just working on programming, and I don't need to have, a bunch of recordings done at the end of the day, and vice versa. It's like, well, I have to just put up with maybe this new idiosyncrasy I've discovered in my patch, which I think I can fix, but I've got to put up with it, and I'm just going to record today. Yeah, it's actually been good for me to make that choice. It's only something I've done in the last few years. Maybe if I was 20 years old still or something, I'd still not have that discipline. But yeah.
Awesome, thanks.
I think we probably can do one more.
Other takers? Any other hands?
Hey, great talk, amazing patches. So thanks for sharing. How much time would you say you spend coding and playing music? Like, what's the percentage in? I know you just said you just pick one now, but in your life, what would that be?
Like total in my life?
Just a number that feels represents.
Well, it's interesting. Actually, my wife said to me recently, she's like, "You've got your 10,000 hours with Max," and I was like, "Damn, I probably have 20,000 actually." Like, when I added it up and worked it out, I was like, "That's kind of sad," but. But no, it's weird. It's part of my life. I'm very fortunate to, through several, chances and the likes, to have made a career out of this. So not just at Cycling 74, I've also teach at USC in Los Angeles, where I get to teach Max. So it really is a big part of my life. Yeah. I mean, that's why I go running, because you can't do max patching and run at the same time. Just definitely when I was younger, I'd disappear for weeks at a time. My wife would wonder if she still had a husband, and but now I've gotten better at mixing up my weeks and stuff. But I still spend a considerable amount of time a week on it. Yeah. There's a great side effect of working at Cycling 74, and it's that things go across my imaginary desk that I see where I'm like, I gotta check that later and make a note. I'm very fortunate to have that, because it certainly has made me a better artist. I'd be lying if I denied that, because you see things. I get to see some of this. Well, I saw MC coming together. I saw it when it was a piece of paper or a napkin, So it allows your brain to digest things as they themselves emerge. There's something nice about that. Yeah, awesome. All right, well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn some things off, pull up some things, and do a live set for you guys. I was thinking today, the last time I performed in the middle of the day was maybe like 2007 in Tasmania or something. So it's an interesting, I don't know, it's like my mind is like, it's another world. Let's do it. All right, give me a moment here. And feel free, I'm around all day and this evening, so if you have any questions, keep them coming. Come and bail me up. I'm always down. So let's get this going here. I pull up my audio patch. Typically when I play live, I have this set up like this. I like to see everything that's going on, but I'm not really dependent on watching things too much on the screen, and I'm not a fan of watching things on the screen. In reality, I could probably just close the laptop lid. I've fallen in love with this thing, the Melbourne Instruments Roto controller. It basically is haptic feedback. So if I change any settings in Max, the knobs just all switch to where they're meant to be. They're motorized. I used to use a monohm, but airlines, weight restrictions, all of this stuff have gotten more difficult. So I subverted it's in the programmer mode, subverted the Launchpad Mini as a controller. So this is a visual patch. This is what I look at. Typically don't have these windows, these folders here. I like a pure black screen. And now I'll pull up the visuals patch. So the visuals patch, some of you might like this, it runs in a separate copy of Max. And there's two reasons here. It splits the processing power across cores. So it means that, the visuals patch is not hurting the audio or robbing it of resources. And it's some poor man's redundancy. At least there'll be something happening still if one or the other crashes. All right, let's get that going. Typically, audiences don't get to see this view, but start mirroring. And let's just check my settings. The other thing too for running it in separate windows, I have Max has two different optimized settings for the visuals versus the audio, and they don't complement one another. So let's see. All right. I think we're ready to go. There's that metal thing I was talking about.
Wow, that was super special. Thanks so much, Tom. That was incredible. Yes, so good.